So NBA 2K21 Next Gen has been out a little bit over a month now, so we know pretty much everything we need to know about all the badges. And I know Christmas is coming up, and if you don't already have a Next Gen console, you might get one for Christmas. So this, I feel like, is the perfect time to let you guys know what the best badges in Next Gen NBA 2K21 are. I'm gonna get right into it, but if this video helps you out in any way, please don't hesitate to drop a like or drop a sub. Both of those help me out a ton. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get into the best badges on NBA 2K21 Next Gen. Okay, so let's get into the badges. I'll start off with shooting, then playmaking, then I'll go into finishing, and I'll finish it off with defense, because that's what I feel like most people want to know: shooting, playmaking, finishing, then defensive badges. So first things first, this is my ideal build. You see 12, 24, 20, 20. I'll leave a link in the top of the description to this build. If you don't have the game yet, or you don't have a 6'7" power forward, which is the best build in the game, make it exactly how I show you in that video. Like I said, top of the description. But let's get into these badges. So starting off with shooting badges, I'm going to show you guys the core 6 shooting badges, okay? Right here: blinders, deep threes, dead eye, hot shot, green machine, and last but not least, hot zone hunter. Last year, there were, in 2K20, not 2K21 current gen, but 2K20, there were 5 core shooting badges, and that was hot zone hunter, dead eye, green machine, quick draw, and limitless range. Those are the core 5. Now this year there's a core 6. Blind, let's get into it. I'm gonna go by importance. Deep threes, whatever your build can max out on deep threes, you put that on. If you can get gold deep threes, you put on gold deep threes no matter what. It is the most important shooting badge, and I feel like it always will be. Next, hot zone hunter. We all know what hot zone hunter does. If you watch 2K20, you guys know, very important badge, especially this year, because you really should not miss this year. Hot zone hunter will just make it easier to shoot. Next, we'll go into a new badge this year: hot shot. Now, if you don't know about this badge, then you will very, very soon. Everybody uses this badge on max because 2 shots, you have your first takeover. 3 shots, you have double takeover, and 4 jump shots, you have team takeover. I don't know if they're gonna patch this badge. I feel like they honestly need to. It's that strong, but if they don't, hey, just keep running it max because it's that good. Next, I'll go into another new badge this year: blinders. Now, I didn't run blinders in the beginning of the year, but man, this is one of the best shooting badges in the game. I think it's probably 5th most important. I would put it over Deadeye and arguably Green Machine. Now, deep threes, hot zone hunter, and hot shot are the 3 most important shooting badges in my opinion. But if you have more shooting badges to work with, blinders would be my next best option. If somebody is not in front of you, if they're behind you, if they're next to you, even if they are diagonally next to you, if you know what I mean, like kind of riding your hip, like they seem like they're in front of you, but they're not directly in front of you, blinders will kick in, and every shot you take will be open, or will be a super low contest, which is super greenable this year. Blinders is a super good shooting badge. I definitely recommend it. Next, I will put Green Machine over Deadeye if you only have 20 shooting badges, because I mean, you guys know what Green Machine does. With how easy it is to shoot this year, I'm still not sure if it's 1 green or 2 greens, so I'm not going to say that in this video. Let me know in the comments if you do. But you make 1 or 2 greens. I think it's 1 green this year. I think it's 1 green. So you make 1 green, Green Machine kicks in, and then your jump shot is just... Guys, with the builds this year, the badges you will never miss after your first green with Green Machine. And lastly, Deadeye. Now, in this game, you already hit crazy shots, okay? On my main build, I don't even run Deadeye because I only have 20 shooting badges. Once I work on this build, I will put this Hall of Fame. You don't need Deadeye, but it's just better than all the other shooting badges in the game. Now, after those 6 core shooting badges, like I said, those are the 6 core. You definitely need to use those 6 if you can. Though the rest are pretty useless. Now on this build, you don't get Circus 3s, but I would also put that in this little tier 2 category of the second most important badges. Now you guys see I have 24 shooting badge points, so you can only put one of these badges on if you use the core 6 like I said, and I would recommend putting that on either Stop and Pop or Rhythm Shooter. Now Rhythm Shooter and Stop and Pop both actually is only if you're dribbling the ball. If you're a spot up build, there's no point in either of these. Stop and Pop, pretty simple. After you do a dribble move like a curry slide and you shoot, Stop and Pop will kick in. But like I said, the shooting in this game is so good, there's no point in using that over the other 6. Now Rhythm Shooter, pretty much the same thing as Stop and Pop, except it's off of ankle breakers. But my thing is, after you get an ankle breaker or stuff like that, or a tight handles animation, which I'll talk about, you don't really need Rhythm Shooter because you'll be wide open anyway, and with those 6 core shooting badges, you should make the shot. And lastly, Volume Shooter. It's been in the game for years, I shouldn't really have to discuss it that much, but the more shots you take, the pretty much higher chance of your shots going in or your green percentage going up. But as a 2s player, 3s player, it's not that important because you're not taking that many shots, and your first few shots are always very important. Now I have all these other badges bronze. I'm going to talk about them real quick because honestly, I don't think you should be using them except for a couple of them. Now anti-freeze, no point in using this badge because it's so easy to get takeover in this game. Like I said, 2 shots from hot shot that there's no point. Catch and shoot and corner specialist. I'm gonna kind of put these in 2. Those actually aren't bad badges if you're a spot up player. If you sit corner, you sit hash, you can put those badges on. But just as somebody that dribbles the ball, there's no point in using those 2 badges. Clutch shooter, actually not a horrible badge, but it literally only kicks in when it's like game point. It's kind of like game point badge from 2K17, if you remember that, the park badge. Though it really only kicks in at the very end, so there's not that much point to use it. Difficult shots, it's pretty much Circus 3s, but it's only from the mid-range this year, and nobody plays from the mid-range this year. Everybody plays from 3-point line, so that's not very good. Fade ace, it's for post fades. Don't do post fades. Ice in veins, free throws. We're talking park here. I guess if you play Pro-Am, you could use it because free throws are hard this year, but don't use that for park. Set shooter, not a very good badge because you have to catch it, wait a second, then shoot. People will contest you by then. I wouldn't recommend using set shooter. Slippery off ball, honestly, it really tells you what it does right there. I'm not really too familiar with this badge. I don't see people using it. The dex is really OP in this game anyway. No point in using that. Sniper, if you use the shot stick, you can use sniper. If you don't use the shot stick, you don't use sniper. It's that simple. Tireless shooter, literally no need in this game. You green every single shot with 0 stamina. You don't need tireless shooter. And that's gonna wrap it up for the shooting badges. Like I said, the core 6. These are the 6 you can use. If you have extra shooting badges, I would recommend Stop and Pop or Rhythm Shooter. But yeah, these are the core 6 shooting badges, and I feel like they will be the whole year. Next, we have finishing badges, and just like there's a core 6 for shooting badges, there's kind of a core 4 for finishing badges. Obviously, posterizer, the most important. Then I would go ahead and say Heat Seeker, and then either Fearless Finisher or Slithery. I'm going to put both those silver so you understand those are kind of tied for 3rd. If you have more than 8 finishing badge points, you can use either of those 2. But let's talk about them. Posterizer, you guys know what this badge does, especially with how overpowered contact dunks are in this game, and basically every build getting a 90 plus contact dunk, use Posterizer. You need a 92 driving dunk to get this build on Hall of Fame. 92 driving dunk. Next is Heat Seeker. You guys remember me just talking about Hot Shot? This is basically Hot Shot, but for dunks. When you dunk the ball, your takeover goes up like crazy. So you combine those. You put on Hot Shot and you put on Heat Seeker. Whether you dunk the ball or lay the ball up, as you see, whether you dunk or lay up the ball or you shoot the ball, your takeover is going to go up like crazy. Takeover very overpowered this year, so just putting those 2 badges on, super strong. Next, Fearless Finisher, as you see right there, improves the ability to convert contact layups. Now, you barely get contact layups this year, but when you do, this badge can come in clutch. And then Slithery Finisher, basically the same thing as last year, except you wanted to use this for hop steps last year, But this year, if your player's tired or you're not going to get a contact dunk, Slithery Finisher can help. Like I said, Posterizer and Heat Seeker are must-have finishing badges. And then if you have extra badge points, I would recommend either putting Fearless Finisher Hall of Fame or Slithery Finisher Hall of Fame. Basically, whichever one you prefer, you cannot go wrong with either of them. Okay, the next 4 finishing badges I'm going to show you are kind of the next most important ones. Guys, remember, what I'm describing are the best is for players that dribble. If you're an ISO player, if you use screens, this is what's best. If you're a spot up, something like Lob City Finisher could be more important than these just because, you know, you cut back door, but these is what I feel like is second most important. Acrobat, you guys accidentally do an acrobatic layup, this can come in handy, but mostly these builds will have max 16 finishing badges, which is why I said the core 4, which will equal up to 16. Next, Giant Slayer. Now, the reason why this was so good last year and not as good this year is because last year you were a 6'3" offensive threat with Hall of Fame Giant Slayer, or you were a 6'5" two-way slashing playmaker with Gold Giant Slayer going up against taller builds. This year, everybody's 6'7". Everybody is 6'8". It's gonna be rare you match up with somebody taller, and Giant Slayer kicks in the taller somebody is. So even though I'm 6'7", if I go against somebody 6'8", Giant Slayer will barely kick in. By the way, this was confirmed by Mike Wang. It will barely kick in, like not at all, compared to somebody that's 7'3". So Giant Slayer is good, not as good as the other 4. Next, highlight film. You see it says right there, boost teammates takeover meter after dunks. It's good, but not great. You can use it if you have extra badge points, I guess. Pro touch, you see, I don't really have to explain it. It says it right there. If you time your layup good, it has a higher chance of going in. Not a horrible badge, but not great either. Okay, and let's talk about these last 4 badges. Like I said, Lob City Finisher, good for centers, spot up builds, not if you dribble the ball. Put back boss, not really that good. If you're gonna go up after a rebound, you're gonna be wide open, so it's not that important. Rise up, my builds already get standing dunks like crazy, so you do not need rise up on these 6'7" power forwards. And then teardropper, you don't do floaters this year, you get contact dunks, so there's no point in these badges. And that is going to wrap it up for the finishing badges. Remember though, the core 4, if you have 16 finishing badges, these are the 4 you use. Let's move on to the playmaking badges. Okay, so I know I did finishing badges before playmaking badges, but that's just because with how this year's game is, I feel like people really want to know more about finishing than playmaking, but let's get into this. Now on this build, it would be great if you could get 22 playmaking or 23 playmaking, which I feel is perfect, but this is the core playmaking badges. Now the most important 4, in my opinion, is quick first step. Obviously, you just get faster speed boost when you do dribble moves. Everybody knows that. Handles for days, another super important badge. Top 2 most important are these 2, handles for days and quick first step. Handles for days, basically whenever you dribble, you lose less energy. Same thing the last 2 years, super important badge. Unpluckable, although people have 25 steal this year, they can still rip you. You still need Hall of Fame Unpluckable, so put that on. And then ankle breaker. This finishes up the top 4. Guys, I can pretty much get an ankle breaker anytime I want off the inbound off of certain moves. Super strong badge this year, and you need ankle braces, which we'll get into in the defensive badges. But if somebody doesn't have ankle braces on, geez, ankle breaker will kick in. And then next, tight handles. Although you can get this badge on Hall of Fame, you don't want to do that, because if you put this badge onto Hall of Fame, that unlocks the park size ups, which you don't want to do, and gold tight handles will still stun your defenders like the behind the back did in 2K20. Still a super strong playmaking badge. Just getting those extra stuns will get you wide open for shots, get you past them for dunks, set you up for open buckets. Now this is why I said I wish I got 23 playmaking, because silver bailout is perfect. I run silver bailout in park, and I never ever throw turnovers. So I don't know if bronze bailout is good enough, but if you can afford to, I would put bailout. I would honestly do this if you're playing 2s, just because you don't really need bullet passer for straight 2s, but if you're playing 3s, bullet passer could help. So bailout, I would recommend putting on silver if you can. Like I said, I haven't thrown a turnover with silver bailout, but bullet passer, super slept on playmaking badge. Makes your passes go faster, which in this game really helps. Like, I don't think you guys understand, just having those real quick passes leave your hand, super good in 2K21 next gen. Next, as you see, I have 5 gold badges. After those badges I just showed you, this is what I would put on. Now, Dimer and Floor General, now in 2K20, these badges were really essential, but that's because you played with stretch rebounders or glass cleaning lockdowns that had 72 3-pointer, a 75 3-pointer. So giving them these boosts really helped. In this game, everybody has a 93 pointer. The lowest you'll find a spot up have this year is like an 83 3-pointer or something. So there is no need for these 2 badges, in my opinion. You can have them on if you guys if you want to help your teammates that much more, but I don't think it's needed. Needle Threader, basically kind of a worse version of Bullet Passer. I know they do 2 different things, but honestly, if you want Needle Threader and you want people to get less steals, you might as well just put on Bullet Passer to get the passes faster. I feel like that is better than Needle Threader, but Needle Threader making it so that they have a less chance time of stealing the ball does help. Now, Space Creator. Personally, I don't fade this year. I do not like fading, especially how easy it is. It's just not fun to me, but a lot of people do. And if you combine Space Creator with Circus 3s, yeah, you'll give people some trouble. Just do a little hop step, you'll break defenders just like 2K20. Still a super strong badge. And then Special Delivery. If you play 3s and somebody flashy passes you the ball with Hot Shot, if you combine Special Delivery and Hot Shot, I'm not exaggerating, you get Team Takeover. Yes, Team Takeover in 1 jump shot. 1 jump shot. Flashy pass it, take the shot, Special Delivery Hall of Fame, Hot Shot Hall of Fame, Team Takeover. Good badge, just not really important on the 2s court or ISOing, which is what I'm, making this video on. And lastly, you have these 4 badges. Break Starter, only good for centers, only really good for rec, no need for park. Downhill, only good for 3s, rec, pro-am, no need to use this badge. Relay Passer, literally a worse version of Dimer, and it only gets it off of after you catch, it only kicks in after you pass to somebody. So if they have Dimer on, it's pretty much useless. And then Stop and Go, useless this year, especially with how the dribbling is. There's no need to use Stop and Go. So that's the playmaking badges, and like I said, this is what I would recommend you use with Bullet Passer if you can afford to put it on. But now you guys know the best shooting badges, you know the best finishing badges, now playmaking badges, it's time to get into the defensive badges, which is a big change this year. Now this is what I would use on my defensive badges. Let's start with the obvious ones. Clamps. We all know clamps just make so you bump people, make so you play better defense on the perimeter, which is what you're going to have to do a lot of this year. Hall of Fame clamps is a must-have. Intimidator. If you can get Intimidator, max it out. Whatever you can max this badge out on is what I would do on this 6'7" power forward build. You max it out on gold, just makes it so people miss more shots when you contest them. Hall of Fame ankle braces. Like I said earlier, if you use gold ankle breaker and somebody doesn't have on ankle braces, they're gonna get broken. You need to use ankle braces. You'll still get broken sometimes, but without this badge, you'll be on the floor for half the game if they know what they're doing. Pick Dodger. Now, people don't really use screens this year. I'm surprised. Well, actually, I'm not surprised because of how the gameplay is. But if somebody does use screens, you're gonna need Pick Dodger Hall of Fame, just because it'll make you get around the screens a lot better with how the shooting and how fast players are this year. Now, Rim Protector. I wasn't using this badge in the beginning of the game until I read what it does. You see, it lessens the likelihood of getting dunked on, which makes it a must-have badge this year. As you guys know, 2K21 is the year of the contact dunk. You don't have Rim Protector on, you're gonna get contact dunked on over and over and over again. And then finally, Rebound Chaser. This badge comes in clutch whenever your teammate misses wide open. If you're playing with a center and they miss, if you're spot up and they miss wide open, this Rebound Chaser will come in clutch with your high rebound ratings and vertical. It actually does make a difference. So this is what I would recommend as your core defensive badges. Now there's actually quite a few good defensive badges that don't quite make that, top tier. Chase down artists, especially in this game, really good, as you guys know. Just if somebody gets by you get more chance of getting a chase down, especially if they have on bad dunk packages, which a lot of people do this year because they want to get those flashy contact dunks. Clutch defender, you see, steps up defensively in big moments. If the shot clock's running low, if it's towards the end of the game, you get better on defense. It's probably the worst of these defensive badges that I'm showing here, but not a horrible badge. Heart crusher, you steal the ball, you get a block, say goodbye to their takeover. Super good defensive badge. I would recommend putting it on if you have the badge points. Hot stopper, if you get it just like Heart Crusher, but instead of decreasing their takeover, it boosts your own whenever you get a stop, get a good shot contest, get a steal, get a block. Good defensive badge. Pogo stick. Now, unlike last year, you don't need pogo stick because people just go straight up. They go for these dunks. They go for these quick layups. Not really layups, contact dunks. But you're not going to jump over and over again unless you're going against centers or post scorers, so it's not as important as it was last year. And then tireless defender, with how much you have to chase these ISO players around and sometimes run around screens, this badge can come in clutch, but it's not super important like the first few badges. And these are the last defensive badges. Box, mainly for centers. You don't really need this if you're an ISO player, especially the 6'7" power forward build. Just make it so your box out is stronger. Defensive leader, boost your teammates' defensive badges, or not badges, sorry, their ratings, boost their defensive ratings. But everybody has like a 99 defense this year, so you don't really need this badge. Off-ball pest, I swear, this badge is useless. I know some people say it might stop ankle breakers. I don't believe that, and I don't think it does. I would not use this badge. Trapper, more of a pro-am badge, especially not for twos with how people ISO. You're never going to be trapping people. And then worm, basically the counter to box. You just break more box outs. Not that important, especially as a 6'7" power forward. And that wraps it up for the final category, the defensive badges. You guys see the layout right here, what I would use, and I showed you guys my layout on every single category. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you do not have this build, this is 100% the best overall build in the game with the perfect badge layout. You get every badge you want, you get every badge you need, you have insane ratings, and that wraps it up for the best badges in NBA 2K21 Next Gen. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope it did help you. If it did and you stuck around to the end, please do me a favor, drop a like, sub if you're new, and I'm out.